Retro Rewind. One-on-one.
So the sound of the CD sounds a little stripped down, but at the same time kind of meticulously thought out. I thought, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that is actually. It is a basic band album, but there are lots of little kind of bells and whistles of stuff that are little loops and little sounds that the more you hear it, the more they come out.
Yeah.
And that's really an extent of our just excessive demoing. Matt and I both have studios, and when we demo, you have unlimited tracks digitally, so you throw in everything, and some of these records, I think, like She has like 70 vocal tracks.
That's amazing.
Just with all the harmonies and tripling the harmonies and interweaving stuff, and just because the tracks are there, sometimes you just can't resist, especially on a song like She, where you're doing kind of a Beatle thing and you want that harmony, and but and a lot of the stuff we did fly over just from the demos, loops and the little guitar noises and certain vocal things, and that just because the moment of inspiration is generally better than trying to copy it later on,
Yeah, and just think how much tape you saved. If this was 83, how much tape you would have saved doing those vocals.
Unbelievable.
With the digital.
I remember working with Keith Olsen on the second album, Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet, and he had two 24 tracks linked up. He was one of the first guys, 24 track analog tapes. He was one of the first guys that I ever saw do that, and even that wasn't enough.
Wow. If we can talk a little bit about the production. To me, this sounds vintage.
The traffic here in Malibu. You wouldn't think there'd be...
No, actually, but is this where they shot a lot of the Chip stuff?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, they shoot. They shot all the Baywatch stuff here. They shoot everything. You see all the time. You always see movie crews. In fact, there's one down there. I think I saw last night coming home. They're always shooting stuff down here, but the traffic is always bastards who don't go home.
Yeah, you realize it's kind of cool that people kind of mellowed with age, because we would be mauled right now if this was 84 or something, right? Anyway, to me, this new album sounds, vintage, Rick Springfield, and what I was kind of gathering, I could be wrong here, maybe to a young critic it may seem that you were trying to sound kind of today-ish, but as far as your production, if they listen to some of your stuff from the 80s, it's basically you returning to your sound. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it kind of makes me wonder if some of the artists from today are kind of listening to what you did and some of the others from that time period.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the artists now were the right age to have kind of grown up listening to 80s music, and that's why it's, it may, a lot of the stuff, the Cars were doing, I was doing, Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
It's all stuff that they're doing, they're starting now with the guitars coming back and everything. And, but we copied it from the Beatles, so it's just a matter of recopying it every 20 years,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But it's we certainly, I listen to new stuff, and there's always a reinterpretation, not just a cop. All the new bands aren't just copying what they heard. They have their own stuff, and then we hear that and go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And go, actually when we wrote What's Victoria's Secret, we said, man, if they can do it, if they can rip, Jesse's Girl and the Cars off with Stacy's Mom, we can rip Stacy's Mom idea off and do What's Victoria's Secret.
That's exactly right, man. That's a good assessment there. This album, though, it sounds really young. I think you touched on, I think people that are like 20, 22, like some of those kids over there drinking whatever they're drinking here at Starbucks.
I bet they're spiked, whatever it is.
I'm sure
kids
it
and
is.
their alcohol.
You can just tell.
They got that wild look.
Yeah. If they would, I'm sure if they didn't know who it was, they would just be blown out by it. And some of the days, but a vinyl where they would slip a 45 to DJs and it would be white and I think the most recent person to have done that was Donny Osmond with Soldier of Love.
Right.
Kind of under the radar.
Yeah.
And then it ends up going to number 2 and you can't stop it. It's too late after that. But do you think? I don't think you're stigmatized, but do you think you would get?
I definitely have baggage. Anyone who's been around, and I've been around. I've been, visual for, since 1980. So, I mean, I have some baggage with that. I do.
But don't you agree, though, that if you could get through just, a fair shake, because even program directors these days are even younger than me, and I'm 37, so, there was a time for a while that people my age were programming, and you get a fair shake because of that, but I just listened to this album, man, this latest CD, and I think it's as good or better than anything literally that's out there right now on even modern rock stations.
Well, we are taking it to radio, because the record company wasn't going to do that, but they got such great, strong response, and they were blown away by the record too. They're expecting, okay, let's just put out Rick's next record, and then we delivered this record to them, and they started freaking out.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to radio with it, and it's up to the gods, and it's always been up to the gods. I know the atmosphere is different at radio now, but it's always been difficult. It's always been a new ball game, So I'm not complaining. I mean, all I can do is write the best music I can write, and then, like I said, it's up to the gods where it goes from there.
Well, a lot of 60s artists back in the 80s were having hits. You saw Gary U.S. Bonds hitting the charts. You saw Don McLean with Crying. At the same time, you were out with like Jesse's Girl and some of that stuff. So, maybe someone like yourself or some of those other artists will have a chance. But I think this album is great, Rick, and I think it's got a
I think it's got a
chance.
shot. If any of my albums have a shot, it's this one. I think it's really current, and it's also the best stuff I've written in a long time, and I still like it, which is a real surprise.
Yeah, well, that's good, because you're an honest guy. It's hard to, you've lived with that stuff for so long, and then to be able to continue to listen to it, you must have done something right.
Yeah.
My question now for you is how important is success to you? It certainly can't be the reason why you've consistently released, albums since '99.
No, not really. I mean, well, success, getting it heard is. Otherwise, it would just sit on my shelf. I record it for me.
Right.
But that's writing songs and putting them out is my way to, to reach people, to communicate. And there's a part of me that like anybody, you want the world to hear your art. You want the world to hear what's going on. That's why people publish their diaries sometimes, is because they want people to know who they are. And it's basically a cry for attention in a weird, warped way. But it's you try. It's still part of me, and it's the way I vocalize and the way I say who I am. So. That's why we always look for success, and I'm a very driven guy, which is why I'm still out on the road. I love that, and I love the whole thing. I love the whole ball game. It's incredible to me.
Everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
Retro Rewind.